Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amrutangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. O Lord, please shift us from unreality to the reality, from ignorance to the knowledge, from the mortality to the immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. My dear blessed spiritual aspirants, we were discussing Tattva Bodha, the preliminary text on Advaita Vedanta. Almost we have come the end of this Tattva Bodha text. We were discussing about oneself, that is our real nature. Who am I? What I am made up of? And also, who is the creator and this created world? What is its nature? How did it emerge? When did it emerge? And why did it emerge? So God, individual soul, as well as the world, all these three, nature, we have discussed. Now, the author is making a few very important, unique points, unique ideas he is trying to give. Why they are unique? Because in the whole of philosophy, either in the Eastern philosophy, different schools of Eastern philosophy, and different schools of Western philosophy, this particular unique few concepts are not being discussed. And they are very unique to Advaita philosophy, the non-dualistic philosophy. When you see empirical science, I think in once or twice I told in my previous lectures, science is searching for the truth. It is searching for the one entity, component, substance from which the whole world is made up of. But empirical science, they are unable to find out still. They are in the process. Whereas in the non-dualistic philosophy, in the Advaita Vedanta, they have been found out they have found out the truth, ultimate truth, the one substance from which I, the God, and the world, everything is made up of. The unitariness among everything, behind everything, has been found out in the non-dualistic philosophy, the Advaita Vedanta. That is the uniqueness, salient feature of the Advaita Vedanta. Now, the author is going to tell that. He has made a statement that there is no difference between Jiva and Brahma, or Jiva and Ishvara. How it is? From 2 points it can be established. Essentially, there is no difference between, first is, there is no difference between the microcosm and macrocosm. And the second is, essentially, there is no difference between individual soul and supreme soul. These are the two unique concepts which is given by non-dualistic philosophy alone. How it is? First, probably, if you can remember my previous lecture, you can understand how there is no difference between microcosm and macrocosm. Microcosm is my physical body, subtle body, and causal body, are individuals being. And macrocosm, I mean the world, or the creation, or the universe. So, whatever from the material, the macrocosm, the world is made up of, even from the same material, even this microcosm is made up of. So, from that point of view, there is no difference between microcosm and macrocosm. Andanda and Brahmanda, or Pindanda and Brahmanda. This is the Sanskrit term for this microcosm and macrocosm. If you remember the Advaita theory of creation, Advaita's theory of creation, what did they say? Brahman plus Maya became Ishvara, and this Maya, which is the power, energy of the Brahman, it has got three components, and its nature is, it is made up of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And this from Maya, Tanmatras have come, the subtle elements. And from the sattvic aspect of the subtle elements, five sense organs of knowledge and antakarna, mind, intellect, ego, and memory has come. And from the rajasic portion of the subtle elements, five organs of action and five pranas have come. And tamasic portion of the subtle elements, the five gross elements have come, and the world is nothing but the composition of compound of these five gross elements: space, air, water, fire, and earth. The whole world is made up of these five components: space, air, fire, water, and earth. And that is from the tamasic portion of the subtle elements. Now, this physical body has come from these five gross elements, and the world also has come from the five elements. So, from this sense, from the material, the microcosm and macrocosm both are made up of the same material from the subtle elements. That's why there is no essentially both are unique, both are united. There is no difference between microcosm and macrocosm essentially in nature. So, where the science is unable to find out the essential unitariness between the individual and the cosmos, whereas the non-dualistic philosophy, thousands of years before, they are able to find out there's no difference between microcosm and macrocosm. There's a unity. That's the reason the Upanishad says, if I am disturbed, the world is disturbed, and if the world is disturbed, I am disturbed. Why? Because both are made up of the same material. And we can clearly see in the life of Swami Vivekananda. Because Swami Vivekananda's mind was raised to that universal consciousness, his mind was linked or connected with the universal consciousness. He was in Belur Math, he was sleeping. In midnight, he was awake and he was going front and back. He was restless. One of his brother disciple, monastic disciple, Swami Vijnanananda, he asked, Swamiji, what happened? Why are you feeling restless? Why are you feeling disturbed? He says, my dear, I don't know, my dear brother, I do not know. I feel somewhere at some point of some part of the world, something has happened. Some calamity has happened. That's the reason I'm not able to sleep peacefully. Now, it was very interesting, and it is an interesting question, or it is interesting, we say, if it is in Ireland, if someone says like this. And for their everyone's astonishment, the next day, newspaper say that, yes, in a particular place, in a particular country, there was an earthquake and thousands of people had died, thousands of people had passed away. And without a telephone, without a mobile phone, without television, how did Swami Vivekananda understood that? At very distant part of the world, at a corner of the world, there was an earthquake and thousands of people have died and suffering. And how did Swami Vivekananda, living in the Belur Math, in his room, how did he understand? How did he feel? Because his mind was raised to that supreme, that's a unique level, to the highest level, and his mind was connected with the universal consciousness. This individual mind was connected with the universal mind, universal consciousness. That's why he was able to feel. Even if we can raise our mind to that universal consciousness, if we can connect with our individual mind with universal mind, definitely even we can feel even today. This is the beauty of Indian philosophy, Indian spirituality, Indian Vedanta. Now, after understanding, now we shall try to understand, essentially, there is no difference between Supreme Soul and individual soul. Atman and Paramatman, or Atman and Brahman, or Jivatma and Paramatma. The moment when you say that, there is no difference between individual soul individual and God or Ishvara or Supreme Soul. My goodness, it is a blasphemy to say that. Are you saying that I and God both are one and the same? Yes, of course, the Christ has told in the Bible. Oh, he has told, but we cannot tell, it is a blasphemy. I will be put into eternally hell. Why? How can I be? How can be I and God are one? Oh, it's blasphemy. No. And probably in some religion, if you say, they may massacre us, they may kill us, they may chop on my head. But the Vedanta is bold enough to say that you and God essentially both are one and the same. This is a very interesting, very subtle, very unique concept. And it is not mere concept, it is not mere hypothetical argument, it is in reality. Now let us try to understand. Before trying to understand, let me define what is Brahman and what is Jivatman. Though we have discussed, but still to make us clear understanding. The Brahman is what? Existence, consciousness, bliss absolute. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Fine. Then this Brahman plus Maya is called Ishvara. Fine. The Brahman plus ignorance, avidya or agnana is nothing but the Jiva. See, Brahman plus Maya and Ishvara, Brahman plus avidya, Jiva. If you see the difference and similarity and non-similarity, similarity and difference, Brahman is similarity between Brahman and Jiva. Only Maya or Agnana is only difference. Maya, where is a power of the Brahman, there Agnana is a delusion or a covering. It is a ignorance with the Brahman is what Jiva. So Maya and Jiva, there is only difference, but Brahman is a constant or similarity is there between Ishvara and Jiva. Now, there is also saying that when your mind is dissolved, you will get emancipation. This is a very unique concept you have to think. Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. The complete cessation of all thoughts is nothing but yoga. Why? The complete cessation of all thoughts means what? The mind will not be there. The mind will be dissolved. The mind will be destroyed. The mind ceases to exist. That is what yoga probably implied meaning. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Why it is so? Because the mind is a part of subtle body. If you can remember my earlier lectures. What is the subtle body contains? 5 sense organs of action, 5 sense organs of knowledge, 5 pranas, then mind, then chitta, buddhi, ahankara, 19 items. Of course, Tattva Bodha author says 17 items. Chitta and ahankara, it doesn't include there. So anyway, manas and buddhi, he also includes there. So when the moment mind is destroyed means what? The jiva portion is done. Gone. Why? Because the agnana is where? It is in the mind. Here, again, in the Advaita Vedanta, in the Vedanta itself, there are many different schools. In the non-dualistic philosophy, in the Advaita Vedanta itself, there are 3 schools. Vartika, Bhamati and Vivarna. 3 schools of Advaita Vedanta. Mostly they are all similar. They have got same ideas. Only 1 or 2 points in 1 or 2 ideas they have got difference of opinion. Now, Vartika and Bhamati, 2 schools of Advaita Vedanta, they give a theory of reflection. Theory of reflection is Pratibimba Vada. There they say Jiva is the reflection of Brahman. The Jiva, the individual soul, is the reflection of Brahman. Okay, how to understand? Now, 100 buckets of water you have kept. And there is a scorching sunlight. You can see here outside in Dublin, we have got a scorching sunlight. Beautiful sunlight we have got. Very good sunny. We had sunny day today. Though morning we had a little snowfall. Now if you keep 100 buckets of water with full of water, you will see 100 reflections of sun. So do you mean to say that there are 100 suns? No, there is only one sun, but there are only 100 reflections of sun because of 100 buckets of water. These 100 buckets of water are nothing but the Sukshma Shariras or subtle bodies of individuals. So 100 reflected suns are nothing but the Jiva-atma. So, Jiva is the reflection of Brahman. The reflected suns you are seeing in the buckets, but it is all 100 reflections are nothing but the reflections of the one sun. That is what Brahman. This is what Pratibimbavada. That means what? The locus of avidya or ignorance is Brahman according to them. Now, in the Vivarana school, this school it says Abhasavada, theory of falsity. It says that the locus of Agnana is in Ishvara, it is not in Brahma. So the Jiva is the reflection of, more or less, the Jiva is the image of Ishvara. They are saying Jiva is the reflection of Brahman. Here they are saying Jiva is the image of Ishvara. That's all. The minute difference is there. Anyway. So the causal body is Jiva. Subtle body is Jiva. Causal body is Jiva by ignorance. And subtle body is Jiva by because of mind. The moment mind ceases to exist, then the Jivatma, the individual soul, ceases to exist. That means what? He will be as Atman, as pure consciousness. So Brahman plus Maya is Ishvara, Brahman plus Avidya, that is ignorance, is nothing but Jiva. When if you remove this Maya and Avidya completely, then what remains? Brahman alone remains. From this point, essentially, then the Ishvara and Jiva both are one and the same. Supreme soul and individual soul, essentially they are one and the same. Now we are trying to see our way, trying to understand. Hope you will be able to understand. Now I have given a good amount of background. They are telling that which identifies with the gross and physical body is called the Jiva. Of course, causal body is also included. And it is the image of Brahman. The Tattva Bodha text or the author of Tattva Bodha also recommends, or he also supports the Pratibimbavada theory of reflection. And Jiva itself thinks that Ishvara is by nature different from it. The Atman, which is identified with the physical body, subtle body, and the causal body, thinks that the Brahman is Jiva. And that same Jiva itself is thinking that Ishvara is by nature different from it. I am different from Ishvara. The individual soul is different from God, Ishvara, creator, sustainer, dissolver. And the self with the conditioning of ignorance is called Jiva. I am conditioned because I'm an ignorant person. That's why I'm called Jiva, and I'm different from Ishvara. Ishvara is omniscient. Ishvara is omnipresent. Ishvara is omnipotent. He can do anything and everything. He is all powerful. He is there everywhere, and there is no place where he is not there. And whereas I am limited in my knowledge, and I am limited even by form. I am existing in Dublin means I cannot be in a Dungannon, I cannot be in the France, I cannot be in the Germany. Whereas the God can exist now here in the Dublin, as well in the France, in the Germany, or in the Russia, or in India. So I am different from God, Ishvara. So this is what our thinking is. But Avidya Upadisan Atma Jiva Uchyate. Because of Avidya, because of ignorance, I am Jiva. The Atman or Brahman is thinking that he is an individual soul, he is an embodied soul, he is a Jivatma. Then what is the difference? Him and Ishvara means Maya Upadisan Ishvara iti Uchyate. The limiting agent called Maya. The Brahman is called Ishvara with the limiting agent called Maya. So, Brahman plus Maya is Ishvara, Brahman plus Avidya is Jiva. If you remove Maya or Avidya, if you destroy the Avidya, that means what? Brahman minus Avidya Jiva will be destroyed. The Brahman alone exists. That's what we are understanding. Now, the author says, so long as the notion. Now the question may come, now why should I remove all this ignorance? Let it be there. What is there? I'm not bothered. I'm not perturbed. That is not creating any trouble if you say no. That is the root cause for all of our suffering. The ignorance is the root cause of all our suffering. Not my father, not my mother, not my husband, not my would-be, not my children, not my friends, not my colleagues. not the country, not the religion, not the situations is reason for my suffering, for my unhappiness. The Advaita Vedanta, the non-dualistic philosophy says that the ignorance is the root cause for all our sufferings, and the ignorance is the root cause for all of our cycle of birth and death, which is called samsara in Sanskrit. What is samsara? The cycle of birth and death. Again and again, you have to take birth and die. Again, you take birth and die. That is what samsara, bhavaroga. And what is the cause for it? If you say, is the notion, so long as the notion which is due to difference in the conditionings that Jiva and Ishvara are different remains until such time there is no redemption from samsara, which is form of repeated birth and death. The notion that I am separate and the Ishvara is separate. I am separate from Ishvara. I am separate. Individual soul is separate from Supreme Soul. Till the notion exists, till then there is no redemption for him. There is no emancipation for such a individual soul. There is no realization for such a soul. Why? Because of ignorance. And what happens? He has to take birth and death again and again, again and again. Then how to remove this? Then if I don't want to take birth anymore and I want to stay in completely in a blissful state, what can I do? Tasmat karanat na jiva ishvarayoho bheda buddhi karya. Due to that reason, the notion that jiva is different from Ishvara should not be accepted. Remove the notion that I and Ishvara is different. Individual soul and Supreme Soul are different. This notion should be removed. Once it is removed, then emancipation, you will get emancipation. You will attain realization, you will get emancipation. Means what? You understand, you realize. You understand and you realize that I and God both are one and the same essentially. Ishvara is Mayadisha and Jiva is Maya Bandita. Is the controller of the universe and I am in the universe. Fine. Because of ignorance. Remove this ignorance that I and Ishvara is different. I and things are different. Then immediately you will be realized person. Now, after saying this, how to understand this? They are saying that microcosm and macrocosm both are one and the same. The world and this body both are made up of same material. So from material point of view, both are one and the same. And afterwards they are saying that individual soul and the Supreme Soul both are one and the same essentially. Why? Because both are Brahman. Because in nature, in reality, both are of absolute existence, absolute consciousness, absolute bliss. Sat Chitananda in nature. How to understand this? Then the author takes a help of Mahavakya, special sentence called Tat Tvam Asi. You are that thou art. You are that or that thou art. Now, before telling this, the author himself is raising a question. What is that? The Jiva is endowed with his ego. And his knowledge is limited, his power is limited, his energy is limited, his consciousness is limited. Whereas Ishvara doesn't have any ego, he is omniscient and omnipresent and omnipotent. Then how can there be identity of sameness as stated in the Mahavakya, Tattvamasi, you are that? Because these two were possessed of contradictory characteristics. I am limited, he is unlimited. I am ignorant, he is omniscient. I am limited, I am present in particular place, he is all-pervading, omnipresent. And I am limited in my energy and capacities and capabilities. And the God is omnipotent, he can do anything and everything. He has got powers, all the powers. Then how can I and he both are one and the same? They are contradicting. The Tattvamasi, what you are saying that you are that, means I and God both are one and the same essentially. Is it not contradicting statement which we see in the Vedas, which we see in the Upanishads, which has been told by saints of the Advaita Vedanta? Then the author says, if that is your question, if that is your doubt, no, there is a wrong understanding. Now, before getting into this, I will take in probably one beautiful example. There is a lake, and you took a plastic bucket, and you were trying to lift the water Someone called and you saw behind, then you were frowned, you started talking with him and you never paid any attention to the bucket, and unknowingly, unconsciously, you left the hand of the bucket. Then you were talking with 5-10 minutes. Then you said, "Oh, fine, wait for a moment. I will take my bucket of water because I came for a bucket of water. Let me take my bucket." And you turn around. Now you see, because of water pressure, force, or the wave, the plastic bucket slowly it has gone in the middle or little distance, maybe 10 or 20 meters in the water in the lake. Now you are not able to take easily, and the water is steep, so you need some help to take the bucket. Now, in the pond or in the lake where you were there, the bucket has gone 100 or 200 meters, and you are able to see very clearly the bucket you are able to see. Now there is a water inside the bucket, and there is a water outside the bucket, and you are trying to see very clearly, and you are able to see very clearly the distinction between the water inside the bucket and the water outside the bucket. Just imagine you are near the lake and where there is a bucket and the water inside the bucket and water outside the bucket. Fine. Now, the question is, the water inside the bucket and the water outside the bucket, both are one and the same or not? Obvious. Obvious it is. What is it? Both are one and the same. But if I ask, there is a difference. Why? Because there is a bucket which is making distinction, making differentiation between the water inside the bucket and water outside the bucket. Oh no, it is just in the moment you break the bucket, you break it and you remove that, both are one and the same. It appears and it is. And now, if you remove the bucket, both are one and the same. And before also, it was one and the same. Only it was appearing as if that the water inside the bucket and the water outside the bucket, both are different. So similarly, even the individual soul and the supreme soul, both are essentially, there is no difference, but it is an appearing that both are different. Why? Because of ignorance. If you ask any child, small child, probably, oh, the water inside the bucket and the water outside the bucket, both are one and the same. They say it may be different. Why? Because there's the water in the lake and this is water in the bucket. Isn't it? So like this. That's what we can understand. The pot in the lake, the bucket in the water and the bucket outside the water, both are one and the same. The same idea has been beautifully told by Swami Vivekananda. The jiva is nothing but the embodiment of Sachidananda, but since Maya, our ego, has created various upadhis, the limiting adjuncts, he has forgotten his real self. One get rid of the ego after the attainment of knowledge. On attaining knowledge, one goes into samadhi and the ego disappears. The knowledge dawns that I am that or you are that. Aham Brahmasmi or Tattvamasi. Now, finally, Tattva Bodha is telling that the jivas are the reflections of Brahma and we don't have any independent entity. We are nothing but the Brahman alone itself. Now, before getting into this, Mahavakya Tattvamasi, I would like to say, there are many types of sentences. For our understanding, we will discuss two things. Vakya, sentence. Ordinary sentence. Ordinary sentence have got just generally ordinary meanings. Like for an example, he came yesterday. Or for an example, Meera came yesterday and ate and went to her house. There is no special meaning in this. It is an ordinary meaning. Meera came yesterday or John came yesterday to my house and he took lunch with me and he went back to his house. Fine. Whereas there is an ordinary sentence. And if you say that John, the yesterday person who came, John, he is like a lion. John is like a lion. That means what? John is very brave like a lion. You can tell. And you can say Vengyartha also. Vengyartha means in the taunted meaning. Oh, he is such a foolish fellow. For anything and for every small thing, he is a very fearful person. So John is like a lion in an opposite meaning also we can say. These are called special sentences. John is like a lion is one in generally positively if is affirmative. That means what? John is brave like lion. And if it is a taunting in opposite meaning, means John is so fearful, is a fickle minded, John is a very fearful, he doesn't have any even little courage. Now, this Tattvamasi comes under Mahavakyas, means they convey very deep meaning, very significant meaning, and very philosophical meaning. And that is told in a very few words. What is that? Tattvam Asi. You are that thou art. And this Mahavakya is from where? Is it composed by any poet? The Tattvabodha author, does he composed it or does he frame the sentence? No, it has taken from the Vedas. Now, Vedas are the basic scriptures, fundamental scriptures for Hindus, for Sanatana Dharmis, the followers of Sanatana Dharma. Just like for the Christians, the Bible is the basic scripture. And for the Islam people, Quran is the basic scripture. And for the Buddhists, Tripitakas are the basic scriptures. And for the Tirthankaras, the teachings of the, for the Jains, the teachings of the Tirthankaras are the basic scriptures, isn't it? So similarly, for the followers of Sanatana Dharma, the Vedas are the basic scriptures. And in the Vedas, more or less, the end portion of the Vedas are nothing but the philosophical portion of the Vedas, which are nothing but Upanishads. And we have taken mainly 108 Upanishads are told or recognized. Among them, 10 to 15 beautiful, significant sentences has been culled, which shows or which explains the unitariness or identity of oneself with the Supreme Self. Among them, 4 Mahavakyas, 4 supreme sentences are traditionally accepted, and it has been given by gurus for the students to understand, to hear, by hearing and by thinking and by meditating on that, to understand the oneness between himself and the God or Ishvara or the Supreme Self. So, in that way, we have got 4 Mahavakyas, 4 supreme sentences. What is that? One is Tattvamasi. It is taken from Chandogya Upanishad, by name Upanishad name Chandogya Upanishad, and it is a part of Samaveda. Then the second type of Mahavakya, supreme sentence, is Aham Brahmasmi, I am that Brahman. That is taken from Brodhanyaka Upanishads. It is a part of Yajurveda. And we have got 4 types of Vedas, 4 Vedas. Then Ayamatma Brahma, this self is Brahman. This is taken from Mandukya Upanishad, which is a part of Atharva Veda. And the 4th Vakya, 4th supreme sentence is Pragnanam Brahma. Pragnana, that is consciousness or awareness, is Brahman. That is a part of Aitariya Upanishad, part of Rigveda. But generally, to make us understand, now the author is taking here the Vakya, Tattvamasi, you are that, from Chandogya Upanishad. Now, we shall try to understand what is this Tattvamasi. Now, again, you may get a question, just if I try to hear Tattvamasi, or if I try to understand this Tattvamasi, how do I understand? How do I realize my nature? If you are a Uttama Adhikari, if you are a fit aspirant, if you are a best student, what happens? For an example, Shvetaketu, where we study the life of Shvetaketu, the story of Shvetaketu in the Upanishads, he was a fit aspirant and he was the best spiritual aspirant. His mind was pure. So, when his guru told, Tattvamasi Shvetaketu, Tattvamasi Shvetaketu, Tattvamasi Shvetaketu, like, you are that Shvetaketu, you are that Shvetaketu, you are that Shvetaketu, 9 times he understood and he realized that Ahamasmi Brahma, I am that Brahman. Essentially, there is no difference between me and as between God or Supreme Soul. By just hearing this Tattvamasi Vakya, the supreme sentence, he understood, he realized his real nature. If we are fit aspirant and if you are the best student, you will be able to. Fine, that's called Uttamadhikari. If we are not Uttamadhikari, then what to do? So, if not best student, you may be a better student. You are the mediocre student. That means what? Once you are hearing the Tattvamasi, if you are not able to realize, then you have to again cogitate on that. You are that Tattvamasi. You are that. Means I and Brahman both are one and the same. So what is that you and what is that and you are that means what? You have to again and again, you have to cogitate. You have to again and again, you have to do reflection. You have to do rethinking. No, I did lot of rethinking about it. I did lot of cogitating on that. Still, I am not able to means you are the good student. You are a Manda Adhikari. You are a common student. You are a common student. Then you have to meditate on this vichara. That is Tattvamasi. It is not like a devotional meditation. It is a Vedantic meditation. Probably in some time, let me take the Vedantic meditation class. So it is a Vedantic meditation. So that's why, so Tattvamasi, the moment when we hear Tattvamasi, when the fit aspirants will be able to understand that yes, they are, and some people after reflections they will be able to, and most of them who are not good or better or best aspirants, they are good aspirants or the good students, then they have to meditate on that for a long time. Then they'll be able to understand, yes, we are. So here, Tattvamasi means you are that. Means there is no essentially difference between individual soul and supreme soul, Jiva and Ishvara. That's what they are telling. Now, before getting into that, one more grammar portion I would like to tell. Now, for any sentence, there is what direct meaning or literal meaning, and there is applied meaning or implied meaning. How do I understand? I'll give an example. Gangayam Goshaha. The English translation of the Sanskrit sentence is there is a village on the Ganges river, or on the Leafy river we can take in the Dublin. There is a village on the Leafy river. If I say that, how can the village on the Leafy river? I don't think it is possible. If you take the literal meaning, primary meaning, or if you take the direct meaning, or if you take the literal meaning, what do you understand? Okay, there is a village on the Leafy river. How it can be? Okay, he's saying, Swami is saying. Then what is the applied meaning? Or what is the implied meaning? What is the lakshartha? That means what? There is a village on the bank of Leafy river. There is a village on the bank of Leafy river. The one is a direct meaning or vakyartha, that is a literal meaning. The other is applied meaning, that is what lakshartha. So here in the Tattvamasi, we should not take literal meaning, we should take applied meaning. That's what they are saying that. That's what Swami Vivekananda tells beautifully. The Vedas cannot show you. You are the Brahman, you are that already. They can help only to take away the veil that hides the truth from our eyes. The first veil to vanish is ignorance, and when that is gone, sin goes. Next, desire ceases, selfishness ends, and all misery disappears. This cessation of ignorance can only come, and when I know that God and I are one. In other words, identify yourself with Atman and not with human limitations. Means probably, what is this? Tattvam, you. Asi, that is R. You are that, we said. What do you mean by you? Let me try to explain you. That which identifies itself with the gross and subtle bodies is called you, is that in the direct sense. Who am I? I am Swami Shantivratananda. I am living in the Ramakrishna Vedanta Center or Ayurvedanta Society in the Dublin, Ireland. Who are you? I am Swami Shantivratananda. Who are you? Okay, I am this body. Who are you? Okay, I am this mind. Who are you in reality? I may be intellect. Who are you? Oh, I have done a lot of things. I have accomplished many things in my life. Who are you in reality? Oh, I am consciousness plus absolute existence. Fine. That is your real nature. Then what is this accomplishments? What is this you are Shantivratananda, and what is this you are in the Ayurvedanta Society? Oh, there are limiting adjuncts. They are called upadhis. In reality, you are not all of them. So that's what we said. That Brahman, that means the Brahman which identifies itself with the gross and subtle bodies is called you in the direct sense, in the literal meaning. But that which is really implied meaning or applied by the word you are not this, but the pure consciousness free from all the attributes and attained in the state of samadhi. The moment when I go into samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi, where myself merges with that consciousness and awareness, where I become consciousness, where I become awareness, there is no one to tell that you are the consciousness, you have got a consciousness, I am consciousness, I will be the consciousness. So that is that your reality. In reality, that is your nature. That's what according to the you. The moment when you say you, because it's all very subtle things, it will take for some time for you people to understand. You have to think little more and more, and you have to hear properly of my lecture again and again. Then you'll be able to understand. So when I say you means, it is not that we are not mentioning for your body. You means not your mind. You means not the intellect. You means not your accomplishments. You means not your paraphernalia. You means not the body-mind complex. You means just consciousness, pure consciousness, pure awareness. That is what we mean you. So this is what applied meaning or implied meaning. That's what we have to take. Now, the second one. Now, if you ask all these things, Swamiji, when you say it is very clearly that in reality, who am I? I am that existence, consciousness, bliss, absolute. Then why you have to going in and around or going round and round? You are telling that when you say that you are that or I am that, that means I am that or you are that means what? Yes, I am consciousness, existence, bliss, absolute. I am that Satchitananda, I am Atman or Brahman. Straight away you tell. Why this so much beating around the bush you are doing? Why you are telling again and again so many things and so many? Probably are you not complicating things? You may get a question. Then if you say no, it is not simple. Why? Because our minds are not pure enough. I'll take an example. Probably I'll take a story of Virochana and Indra. Indra is the Lord or king among all the goddesses, gods and goddesses. Many devatas who used to stay in a heaven is the Lord of a heaven. And this Virochana is the head of demons, Rakshasas. So both of them, they went to the Prajapati Brahma, to the creator God. God is caps G here. And their gods and goddesses meant small g. So both of them, they went and they approached and they said, please tell us what is the ultimate truth? Who are in reality we are? Then he said, oh, you are self, you are the Atman, you are the Brahman. In reality, that is sinless and it is ageless and it is deathless. It is sinless, ageless, deathless one, and by understanding it, by knowing it, by realizing it, you will be achieved everything and you will attain everything. There is nothing to be achieved, there is nothing to be attained. Oh, so beautiful. By knowing who I am, by knowing that I am Brahman or Atman, there is nothing to be achieved, nothing to be attained. Oh, beautiful. Let us try to understand that. Both were fascinated by these statements. Then both were asked, oh Lord means, oh Guru, Brahma, please teach us, what do you mean by that? Then he said, go and see in the water. Whatever you are able to see, you are that. Then this Prajapati, Indra and Virochana, both the leaders, they went and saw in the water. If you see in the water yourself, what do you see? Your own body reflection. Oh, Virochana found. Then he said, oh, I'm able to see my well-built personality, that is body. Oh, you are that. Okay, he understood that when you say that Atman or Brahman, yes, I am this physical body. Okay, let me nourish it. Let me understand more and more. He went and he told to all his people that the Lord has told, my Guru has told, Prajapati has told, I am that Brahman. This body is Brahman. This physical body is Brahman. It should be nourished well. It should be taken care well. And it should be, and all type of merry-making enjoyments can be done. Why? Because this is Brahman. So to feel it, to make it contented, then let us do anything and everything ethically or unethically. And they started doing all sorts of nonsense and rubbishness because of ignorance. Whereas the Indra went to heaven and he also started ruling the thing, ruling the world, and he also started enjoying. But after some time, immediately said, my Guru had said, the soul or the Atman or the Brahman is sinless, and it is deathless, and it is ageless, but I am getting aged. This body is getting aged. This body has got death. Then that means what? Whatever I see in the reflection, the physical body is not that me. It is the literal meaning, direct meaning. Applied meaning is something else. Then he asks, he approaches his Guru, Prajapati, Brahma, that I am not able to understand. What do you mean by that? Then he says, you do penance for 32 years. Then he did penance for 32 years. And he said that in the dream, whatever you see, that you are. In the dream, I experience, yes, as I am a dreamer. But again, the moment I come to Sushupti, I come to awakening for the Jagrada Avastha, then whatever the dreamer as a person, he vanishes. then that means what? It cannot be the Brahman or Atman. Then again he approaches his Guru Prajapati. He says that 32 years of penance you do this. Because of doing penance, what happens? The mind becomes pure, the mind becomes clean. Just like the mirror, so it is clean, I'll be able to see my reflection better. Similarly, when the mind is pure, then it is able to understand its own real nature. That's why the Prajapati is telling him to do penance. Then he did penance. Then he said, in your deep sleep, whatever you understand or whatever you feel, that who are you, that is you. Then again he goes back and he thinks that in the deep sleep I am unaware, I am not conscious of anything, either of myself or of this world or anyone, isn't it? So then how can I be? No, because the Brahman is should be consciousness. Here it is unconsciousness state it is. Then again he goes back. Then this time the Prajapati asked to meditate for 5 more years. Then when he meditated, when his mind was completely clear with all the doubts or impurities, with the dross material, then the knowledge dawned here. The knowledge dawned, and his Guru Prajapati also told few things, few teachings. Then he understood that who is he in reality? That is Satchitananda. In reality, understood. He went back to his kingdom. He taught that gospel of truth, that Satchitananda, where the no weapons can pierce it, no weapons can destroy it, no air can dry it, no water can wet it, no fire can burn it, and it is a substratum of all energy, and it is a possible infinite possibilities can be there by understanding who am I, and I am birthless, I am deathless, I am free, I am not bound, I don't have any age, I am not so and so. I am that Atman or Brahman. See, but unfortunately, when you say I am that Atman or Brahman, there's a lot of misconceptions can happen in our mind. That's why they do Tattvamasi Vakya Vichara. In a traditional Advaita Vedanta, whoever is studying, when you go for advanced studies, the discussions are there in pages after pages, hours after hour. They keep on doing it. Why? Because all type of misconceptions should be removed from the mind. When you say you, or I means immediately body mind complex, knowingly or unknowingly, it comes into picture. To remove that from all different angles, from different points, we have to go on making different type of thinking. So you means what? Here it is not the physical body, not the gross body, not the subtle body, not the causal body, not your body mind complex. It is just pure consciousness. So when you say you, immediately you understand that body-mind complex. That is a literal meaning, vachyartha. It is not minus of divide of all the paraphernalias or limiting adjuncts. You means it is only pure consciousness. That is what the applied meaning or implied meaning, lakshyartha. So it is taken here. Lakshyartha should be taken, not the vachyartha. In this Mahavakya, you are that or Tattvamasi. So you are that. You has been told. Now, what is the reality? What is the nature of you, or what is the nature of I? Individual soul has been told. Individual soul means what? The Brahman as a pure consciousness, existence consciousness, bliss absolute should be taken, not with any limiting adjuncts. The physical body, causal body, subtle body, or ajnana and papa, punya, karma, all his actions, reactions, all these things should be removed. Without that, only as a pure conscious should be taken. Now, in the that means in the supreme soul, in the Paramatma, or in the Ishvara, or in the Brahman, as a creator, sustainer, dissolver, whatever so. In that, what should we take? Because he's omniscient, he's omnipresent and omnipotent. I am okay. What all the limiting adjuncts are there, all should be taken. You said, I am the pure consciousness, fine. But now again, how I and the Ishvara, who has got who is omniscient, who is omnipresent, who is omnipotent, who is the control of the universe, how I and he can be the one? The next question comes. Then for that, they say that means the Brahman, Ishvara, what to understand? Because you are saying that he is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, he has got lot of powers, enormous powers, no doubt. So without any paraphernalias, adjuncts, even in their upadhi also, you have to take the pure consciousness, pure awareness, that is Brahman, from the Ishvara point of view, from the that also. Then you will be able to understand that you are that, or that I and Ishvara are I and Brahman, individual soul and supreme soul, both are one and the same. In the next coming class, let us try to continue this Mahavakya Vichara. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Rama Krishna Arpanamastu.